Hello, my name is Claire Polka, and today I will be talking about how certain children from our readings are socially constructed and how this can be changed with philosophies that we have read about or talked about in the classroom setting. So today I will be talking about two kids from previous readings, and these kids, I believe, can succeed from having a warm demeanor in the classroom, and also will tie in a couple other articles within the students and how I think that they could be successful in the classroom. So the first kid that I will be talking about is a student named Ray, and we learned about Ray in an article called Unfinished Business. And this particular student is an African American male who remembers being punished with his friend while he was walking in while the bell was ringing to a classroom, and his teacher immediately sent him to in-school suspension for this act that he did. And I think that this relates back to an article that we read earlier called De-Biasing, and the point of this article was to talk about how some teachers have biases against students who are coming into their classroom based off of their ethnicity or maybe their social economic status, and it talks about how we can really start to break down those biases, and that how we can talk to each other as teachers so that we don't have those biases coming in, and it really talks about how we can break down those habits of having biases on certain students so that it's not in our classroom anymore. And so then the next student that I will be talking about is a student named Larnell, and he was from the Collins article. And Larnell is a student who starts off in the classroom as being cooperative, and then he has a little run-in with his teacher, and then he goes from being cooperative to resistant, and then is labeled as a bad boy in this article. So in this article, Larnell, in the beginning part, is participating throughout the classroom. He's answering his teacher's questions. He's following along with what everyone's doing. And then his teacher steps out of the classroom, and an assistant is in there, and he then begins to talk to his neighbor, which is the assistant teacher doesn't say is wrong. But then when the supervising teacher comes in, and she calls him out for his behavior, and he doesn't necessarily understand what he did wrong, and the teacher wants him to come sit in this chair by himself, and that is when Larnell becomes resistant, and he doesn't really understand why he's getting in trouble, because the teacher is also not explaining why he got in trouble. He just missed those cues from his teacher. And so I think in this particular case, it was neither, like the article said, it wasn't technically either of the student or the teacher's fault, but I think that in this particular case, Larnell really could have benefited from having a warm demeanor in the classroom. And having a warm demeanor is someone who has high but real expectations for the students, and the teacher can convince him or her of his own greatness and his own ability and really make them see what they can do. And I think that in this case, Larnell really could have benefited from this type of structure in the classroom, so that the teacher set up her expectations and Larnell knew the expectations. And this can also apply back to Ray. So for him coming in late to the classroom, if that would have been that warm demeanor, then maybe that teacher would have told him, you have to come in here before the bell rings, or I'm going to send you to suspension. And maybe if Ray knew that, then he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have came in late, or if he did come in late, he maybe could have had a note from the front office or something saying why he was late. So that's why I think that both of these students can connect back to warm demeanors. And I think that having to do with my own teaching philosophy, this can really relate back, and everything that we've talked about in the class so far can really relate back to my teaching philosophy. I think that it's constantly changing, and everything I'm doing this year, especially student teaching, has really opened my eyes to changing my teaching philosophy. But I I think that it's really important to bring these kind of things in with me, being a warm demeanor teacher, making sure that my students know exactly what my expectations are, but that I'm always going to be there for them, and that while maybe my expectations are high, but that my students know that they can do this. They are capable of doing it. My expectations are realistic, and that I'm someone who they can always fall back on and come talk to and feel comfortable with. So I think that that is definitely going to be added to my teaching philosophy after looking over these articles again.